Hello everybody, welcome to episode 5 of Tech Tip Tuesday. I'm John Fester, your IT manager here at Travel Planners International, and thank you very much for joining us today. Got a few topics that we're going to discuss today. Today we're going to look at cheap cables, refurbished products, are they worth buying? And travel tips. I'm going to throw you some travel tips. We're in the travel industry and I have a lot of tips for you, so I wanted to include some of those. As always, after this video, please post some comments or suggestions below on any future topics that you might want me to cover if you have any questions. I'm also going to post some links to any recommendations that I mentioned in this video. But please, that feedback tells me what you guys really are interested in and helps me to make plans and topics for future videos. So please include those suggestions if you have any. So let's jump right in. Today, cheap cables. Have you ever walked into a store, Best Buy or any other store, and you needed to buy a cable? Maybe you just needed an internet cable, maybe you needed to connect a television and you needed an HDMI cable. Have you looked around and you see all these, the manufacturer labels saying gold plated or high quality and super speed, and you start looking at the prices and these are 30, 40, 50 bucks for a single cable. Now, this has been a topic of conversation and for techs for many years, and in the gaming community, if you're somebody that sits at home and you play a lot of games, you probably own a very expensive cable, an HDMI cable or an Ethernet cable, and you probably spent 30 to 50 bucks on that one cable, and they sold you at that price because it's gold plated, because they brag about best quality and the fastest speeds, and in your mind you're thinking, that gamer once saw the fastest everything. Well, they just spent about 30 or 40 bucks too much on a cable that they could have got for about 5 to 10 bucks. And they would have gotten the same speeds, the same quality, everything. And there's companies that test this stuff. A few individual companies that I'm going to name. Gizmodo is a nice nice company. They have a nice website for tech reviews and stuff. And they have tons of money and they buy gadgets just to test them and compare, and then give the consumers an honest feedback from a third party, just so you know what's good. LifeHacker, if you've never heard of these people, they have a lot of good, what they call life hack tips. Really cool stuff, and it's things that you can do at home and ways that you can fix stuff yourself that break every day. CNET and even Digital Foundry, all these people did these tests on these different cables. And what they found is that high-end, super expensive cables, like you've heard the name Monster, and they sell cables, again, ranging from 40 to 60 bucks, and they say they're warranted for life, and you'll never have to buy another cable. And that's a great thing. I mean, if you want to spend 50 bucks on a cable that they will replace forever. On the other hand, I have $10 cables that will last me forever. So yeah. So you've seen these cables, you've heard the name, and you wonder to yourself, is it worth it? What we're doing in a business world, absolutely not. Don't ever pay for anything for a cable more than 10 bucks. There's not a cable out there that is more than $10 valuable in terms of what it does for you and the fact that you can buy it much cheaper online. And there's websites that you can go to. I always mention Amazon. They're not the cheapest websites. Amazon themselves, they claim not to be the cheapest. They might be the cheapest on some products, but Amazon purpose is for convenience. They want it to be the most convenient and efficient shopping experience possible, and they've succeeded with that. So I mentioned Amazon and Newegg.com because these are two great websites to buy electronics. But really, the gold here for cables is monoprice.com. I'll have a link in the comments below. But MONO price.com. Monoprice.com is the best website for cables. They have every cable you can possibly imagine, adapters and all kinds of different things. And you will find a cable that typically costs 30, 40 bucks for $2 or $3. I've used them for years. And if you need any cable whatsoever, power, adapter, or anything, they are the place to go. So don't walk into any store. If you need the cable immediately, that moment, I understand you might have to find yourself at Best Buy or Walmart buying the cable. But if you have 2 or 3 days that you can wait for shipping, you're going to spend less than a fifth of the amount, including shipping, if you go online to monoprice.com. All right, refurbished products. Now, a lot of you get a little scared, and as consumers, we think refurbished products, I don't want to buy it, it's used, it's defective, it's got problems. Well, let's talk about that. First, what is a refurbished product? There's only a few qualifiers for refurbished product. First, it's a product that has damage to either the unit itself or the box that it was shipped in, and the person decided to return it. Those, let me just list them all. Another one, it could be a demo for, that was on a shelf or something, so a demo unit. Or an open box item. Maybe somebody looked at it in the store and decided that they didn't want it, or they bought it and they took it home and they opened it and they decided, well, it didn't work for them. Maybe it didn't fit in the space that they had. They didn't like the design or whatever, so they returned it. It's not defective. These products, or also an actual defective unit that somebody ordered, it did not work, so they had to return it to the manufacturer. So these items all go back, in all of these scenarios I mentioned, they all go back to the manufacturer. The manufacturer receives those and they have to test certain things. They fix the item and then they have to test certain things to make sure that it's been repaired and that it can be sold again. In many cases, a refurbished product is more of a guarantee that it's going to function than a new item. What do I mean by that? When it comes to things like hard drives, for example, well, the manufacturer doesn't test hard drives. They make thousands of drives a day, and there's no way that they're going to plug in thousands of drives into a computer system and then copy data to it and move it back. They can't do that. It's infeasible. It's not feasible. So there's many times, especially in my field, where we order drives, big bulk amounts of drives for servers, and out of a bulk of 50 of them, 2 or 3 will be bad, and that's common. And that's the pretty standard number. So you think of this, and those all go back to the manufacturer, and then they fix whatever's wrong, and they test them, and now they sell. So those refurbished items have been tested. The new ones were never tested. So that's what I mean by that comment. Never is a refurbished unit a used product. So a used product cannot be sold as a refurbished. There's laws that govern all this stuff, and that is not going to be the case. So who refurbishes this stuff? Certainly there are third-party companies out there that will take a defective unit and then fix it and then resell it, and they call it refurbished. Now, there's laws that govern all this stuff, so they have to list it a little bit differently than, say, if the manufacturer repairs it and then refurbishes it. A third-party company, they have to list it as something like third-party reseller or refurbished by third-party company, refurbished non-manufacturer, something like that to designate the fact that the refurbisher was not the manufacturer. In other cases, or in those cases, those items, those products might not come with warranty. So there's another company out there, they get back those defective items, they fix them, they sell them again, but they're not going to be sold with warranty. Typically, those products are much, much, much cheaper than a new item, buying it brand new. Because that third-party company is, they're not the manufacturer, they're not providing warranty, and they're selling it at a price greater than what they got it for. They're probably paying a very small amount for that defective item, and then they fix it and resell it. I would not recommend you go that route because you don't know who these people are and what kind of job they did, or even if they tested it themselves. So I would not recommend going with a third-party manufacturer refurbished item. Now, when it comes to manufacturer refurbishing, I buy them all the time. If it is a personal item, I'm buying it for myself, and there is a refurbished option, I will go that route. No, especially if it's from big companies like Dell or Microsoft or Apple, etc., because those big companies, they provide you the exact same warranty as a brand new item. So whether it's 1 year, 3 year, 5 year warranty, if you buy, let's say, an iMac brand new, well, if you buy an iMac refurbished, they still give you the 3-year warranty, just like a brand new product. So during that time, if anything goes wrong, just like if it was brand new, you can take it to them and they're going to fix it. So there's really zero risk when you buy a refurbished product because A, it either never breaks and it works just like a new product would, that you would expect it to work, or B, it does break and the warranty covers you to fix it just like a brand new item, and you're paying much less. So really that is a win-win to buy a refurbished product when it's from the manufacturer. And you know it's from the manufacturer because it's going to say manufacturer refurbished, or it might say something like factory certified. So some words like that, factory certified, means it was done at the factory, the manufacturer. In those specific terms, manufacturer refurbished or factory certified are legal terms that nobody else can use other than a manufacturer. So if you see that, you're golden, you're safe, and you can buy that product with security, confidence in mind that it's been tested, it's a quality product, it's not used, it's not been sent in somebody's home for a year, and then the person returned it, and then they resold it. That is not a refurbished item. So I recommend checking Amazon and Newegg both sell refurbished electronics, computers, or any type of electronic. When you go to those websites and you do a search, for a monitor, let's say, they have an option on the site you can click new if you only want to see new items, or used if you're willing to buy a used item, or refurbished. You'll see as the option there that you can click, and you will see just the refurbished products. So I recommend you definitely check that out. You can save tremendous amounts of money and get just the same amount of quality and warranty from the manufacturer. So refurbished products, save yourself some money. Last, travel tips. Now, some of these items that I'm going to mention, you probably already know. So forgive me if I'm throwing out some basic things that everybody's just going to be like, well, duh, we already know that. Why would you even mention that? But you never know. Some people might not know. Now, let me start off with the first travel tip is going to be about a website that I landed on recently that I did not know about. It's called Skip Lagged. So like you skip a lag. So it's spelled the word skip, SKIPLAGGED.com. Skiplagged.com. I'll have the link in the comments below. And this website, basically, they're finding flights for you to like hidden cities that most, the main website and corporate websites will not show you. These might require a smaller airplane to get to, and they might be some like smaller corporate style airports that are not the big international airports. But this website will show you some flights, even to large airports, LAX, etc., that it has some routes that is either airlines or routes that is not normal or not common. You can find flights on there up to 80% cheaper than going on a regular travel website or booking tool. So you might check it out. I found myself something cool, skiplagged.com. Now, there's something I read about passports that, do you know that even though your passport expires, we all know there's an expiration date, you can travel, you can leave the country internationally up to that last day of expiration. You can do it. But other countries, there's several countries that will not permit you entry to their country if you have less than 6 months on your passport before it expires. So like if your passport expires in less than 6 months, they'll deny you entry. You won't even be able to allow entry into the country. And there's several countries that do this. And their main reason is because if something happens and there's a natural disaster, you get hurt, you get sick, something, and you get stuck in their country, and then your passport expires, ooh, that's an ugly situation. They don't want that to happen. They want to make sure that you can get back home. And so there's a lot of countries that will require your passport to not have fewer than 6 months before it expires. So that's really kind of smart. You think about that. You don't want to get stuck somewhere. And I personally would not travel somewhere if my passport is going to expire in 6 months or less, just because of a risk like that. You can notify your credit card companies in advance that you're going to be traveling. This way they don't decline charges when they start seeing them internationally. They'll think that it's fraud, and it's just a bit of safety and security, which is good to have. So you might want to contact your banks if you're going to use a bank card. I recommend don't use a bank card. Use a credit card for the protection, of any fraud that could ultimately happen. Set up your cell phone same way with some international plans. Don't find yourself getting charged international data roaming charges that could be astronomical. T-Mobile and other providers, they have some options for a few days or a short amount of time that you can add an international option. Avoid all those things. For example, or another tip, you go to another country and you get their foreign currency. And you have a currency, and at the end of your trip, you have a little bit of money left over. And what do you do with that currency? Some of us save it, it'll be a memorabilia, I guess. We put it into a jar of all the foreign currency. I play poker with some friends, so some of the coins I'll use as my card topper, and they see some international coins that way. But here's a really good tip that you can do with your foreign currency. On your last day when you're checking out of your hotel, use that money. Go to the front desk, pay with that foreign currency first, and then you pay the remaining balance with your, hold on, I have a thing in here. Yes, and then you pay the remaining balance with any free international credit card that does not charge you those fees for using your card internationally. That came out really bad. I'm sorry. So you only want to use a no foreign transaction fee credit card, right? The credit card that has no foreign transaction costs associated with it. But use your foreign currency first at the hotel and during checkout, and use that up. Always ask about the pass or about what Wi-Fi you're connecting to. If it's an open Wi-Fi, call the front desk and ask them, do you have free Wi-Fi? What's the name of it? If you're at an airport, ask an associate, an employee, what's the name of your free Wi-Fi? Don't assume, even if the name of it is Orlando International Airport. Somebody could name it that. I can name my own hotspot that, and you're connecting to mine, and I'm really stealing your data, and you don't know it. Most other nations, everybody knows that in America we're on 110 to 120 volt currency, and that's for electrical. You plug something into the wall. And most other nations, they're at 220 to 240 volts. It's totally different. So if you plug into some devices, it's going to fry it. Although most devices nowadays, it has a number on there. There's a range of power of electrical that you can plug it into. And most devices nowadays, you can even use them in Europe or other nations just fine. But always check first. And on the charger, it's going to have a little symbol that will have a number, 120 or 240. And if there's a little dash in between it, like 120 to 240, then that's a range, and that's telling you you can use that. I'm going to post the symbols of what you find on your chargers, but before you travel internationally especially, double check your chargers. The last thing you want to do is get there and find out you can't charge your laptop or your cell phone, and you got to run out to the store to buy a new charger or a transformer. And that's another option. You could buy a voltage converter or a transformer that converts 120 volt to 240 or 220. But check your device. Most devices nowadays, they can be used on either or. And always back up your data before traveling, especially your business device. This is your data, your company, and all of your clients' information. Back that up first. The last thing you want to be doing is, taking a dive on the beach and turn around and your laptop just walked away, or you come back to your hotel and somebody got into your room and your stuff is gone. You at least have to have your stuff backed up. And along in that same note, beware where you put your cash. I grew up in Peru, South America, and it was always in the back of our minds being American, and we're taller and lighter skinned, we stand out in the crowd of Peruvians, that you're a target. They believe that you're rich because you come from a rich nation, and that's what they believe. So they believe that you have something in your pockets. And if you keep all your cash in one wad in one pocket and somebody reaches in, or they stop you and they mug you, they're going to get all your money. I recommend, if you're going to carry a wallet, which I rarely do, but if you're going to carry a wallet of some type, a purse, any type of coin bag, only have a small amount of money in there, maybe a couple coins and a couple small bills, a couple ones or 5, and that's it. And that's not even your spending money. That's actually a distraction, so that if you get mugged, the thief sees that and they think that's all the money you have, and you tell them, that's all I got, and they don't get all of your money. So what I personally do is I'll take a wad of cash, like my larger bills or the most of my money, and I'll stick it inside my sock. So when I need to get that money out, I'll either hang my arm on whoever's with me, kind of like I'm scratching my leg, and I'll actually be getting my cash out, and I'll take a few steps down the road before I actually look at the money and get out what I need. And that way I'm always prepared. You never want to do this in front of the store. You never want to stop in the middle of the road and do this. Just have these thoughts in the back of your mind. You want to protect yourself, and if people see a huge wad of money, they might want that. And always use a password. This is the last travel tip I'll tell you. Always use a password on every device. Your cell phone, your tablet, your laptop. Especially if you travel, even domestic or internationally, your data is very valuable to you. And if somebody can pick up your device and just use it, access your data, then you just permitted them that access. You didn't even try to defend it, like protect it in a way. Now, passwords are not the most secure thing, meaning just because you have a password on your laptop, that does not guarantee that I can't get your data. If I get your laptop, there's other things I can do. But you don't want to give them the open rein to gain immediate access to all of your data without having to do anything. So just protect yourself. Now, as a bonus tip, I talked about battery backups, I believe in episode 3. Yes, in episode 3, I talked about battery backups. One thing that I've noticed among several of my colleagues and friends is that some individuals do not know that battery backups have 2 different slots of plugs. And you see plugs on the top, you see plugs on the bottom. Well, when you look, there's words here. The words are important, they print these things for a reason. And when we look, the top here, it says battery backup plus surge protection. Battery backup's important there. This bottom one, just surge protection. You see, every battery backup is just like that. There's going to be one strip of plugs that do not protect you with battery. It's just like you plugged it directly into the wall. They're only there as kind of like an extension cord. That's all it is. It's just a straight extension cord. No protection whatsoever other than the surge. But to get the battery benefit, like if your power goes out and then the battery kicks on so your device does not turn off, you got to plug it into the correct slots. And that's where it says battery backup plus surge protection. So look at your battery backup. I was surprised at how many computers were plugged in incorrectly, even in our office, just because when we moved to this building about 3 years ago, we had different, like my bosses and different managers helping plug stuff in, and this was something not everybody was aware of. So going around the building just a couple weeks ago, this is something I found. We lost power here one day and people's computers turned off, and I said that should not happen. And so I crawled under everybody's desk and I found several computers plugged in incorrectly. So do yourself the favor, crawl under your desk today, take a look. Are you plugged into the battery? Which that's what you want to be plugged into. If it's your computer, monitor, modem, etc., you want to be plugged into the battery. If it is just your cell phone charging or something like that, just plug into the surge protection. You don't need battery for that. Okay? Well, thank you everybody for being here. This was episode 5 of Tech Tip Tuesday. I am John Fester. Please leave your comments and suggestions below and any questions that you may have. I will see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.